Amnesia, The Dark Descent, begins not with exposition, but with disillusion. In the game's opening moments, we see the world through Daniel's fragmented perspective as he stumbles through the shadowed corridors of Brennenburg Castle. His vision sways, his voice falters, and he repeats his name, an act of desperation more than identity. He is not simply losing his memory, he is actively trying to anchor himself to a reality that is slipping beyond his grasp. This opening is intentionally disorienting. The player awakens in a stone hallway bathed in intermittent flashes of lightning, devoid of direction or instruction. There's no HUD, no objective marker, only the howling wind, the tapping of rain, the creaking of wood, and the distant groans of ancient architecture. This disempowerment is immediate and total. This is not a limitation of design, it is the design. Amnesia employs atmosphere as its primary narrative tool, and when I speak of atmosphere here, I refer to the total sensory landscape. The visual minimalism, the audio unease, the architectural density, and most crucially, the absence of traditional gameplay guidance. Every detail is curated to create psychological unease. In this video, I hope to argue that Amnesia tells its story not through conventional narrative structures, but through an experimental interplay of implication, suggestion, and vulnerability. It is not a story we are told. It is one that we absorb, one that seeps through us, through shadow and silence. Brennenburg Castle is not just a backdrop. Rather, it is the principal vehicle through which the game's themes are conveyed. Every hallway, every chamber, and every stairwell is saturated with narrative. Blood stains the walls and the floors, shattered equipment lie on bookshelves and desks, and collapsed passages reveal histories of violence and scientific hubris far more convincingly than any cutscene could. The castle is both literal and symbolic. Its spatial descent mirrors Daniel's psychological descent. The further you venture into the depths, the more grotesque and surreal the environment becomes, a visual metaphor for the unraveling sanity of Daniel and you. The architecture is not intuitive or comforting, it is alienating, uncanny, and disjointed. Every space is designed to unsettle. And most importantly, the game resists modern design conveniences. There's no map, there's no voiced guidance, and no guiding arrow. Understanding must be earned through patient observation and attentive exploration. The castle presents not only physical obstacles, but moral and epistemological ones. In this sense, it becomes both a setting and a narrator telling a story of corruption, complicity, and guilt through its structure alone. If the castle is the body of the narrative, its documents and echoes are its blood. Rather than offering lore through straightforward exposition, Amnesia chooses to fragment its story into scattered diary entries, letters, and ghostly echoes. These pieces are deliberately unreliable. They do not clarify so much as complicate, inviting players to engage in interpretive reconstruction. This fragmented storytelling serves a thematic function. Daniel is not an amnesiac hero seeking redemption. He's a man running from the truth of his past. Truths that the player must uncover one unsettling clue at a time. The narrative progression is not linear but psychological. The more we learn, the less secure we feel. The auditory flashbacks and hallucinations further destabilize our sense of certainty. Voices of past conversations leak into the present, distorted by trauma and filtered through Daniel's unraveling mind. The story, such as it is experienced more as a haunting than a chronology. Amnesia never hands over its truth. Rather, it whispers it in flickers and fragments, always filtered through a consciousness on the verge of collapse. What distinguishes Amnesia is its commitment to atmosphere as a mode of emotional storytelling. Every sound, shadow, and architectural choice is very deliberate. The game does not attempt to frighten with spectacle, but with presence, with the slow, inescapable sensation that something is wrong. The sound design is especially crucial. Wind batters old stone, chains rattle in the dark, whispers and footsteps echo from intermediate sources. Silence is weaponized. moments of quiet often feel more unnerving than direct encounters. The soundscape constructs a world where perception itself is suspect. Lighting, too, is mechanically and symbolically central. Light offers security and clarity, but it's finite. The player is forced to ration tinderboxes and lantern oil, trading visibility for vulnerability. Prolonged darkness chips away at Daniel's sanity, blurring vision and distorting reality. It's not just a clever, cheap gimmick or mechanic, it's a storytelling device. The more we see, the more we understand, and the more we understand, the more terrifying the implications become. The castle's design enhances this tension. Tight corridors induce claustrophobia, while cavernous chambers evoke exposure and dread. The structure seems to shift and resist comprehension. The castle is not merely traversed, it is endured. Through all of this, atmosphere becomes a form of communication. It conveys the narrative, it establishes the emotion, and it immerses the player in Daniel's descent more powerfully than any exposition could. Central to Amnesia's emotional resonance is this sanity mechanic. It's a system that connects the protagonist's psychological state with the player's actions. Rather than acting as a secondary stat, sanity is the narrative's pulse. It is a mechanic that enforces thematic meaning. Remaining in the dark, witnessing horrors, or encountering monsters all degrade Daniel's sanity. This is represented not with numbers, but with hallucinations, audio distortions, and creeping visual degradation. The result is a persistent uncertainty. Are we seeing the game, or are we seeing Daniel's collapse? What makes this system so exceptional, I think, is that it is integrative. It affects gameplay decisions in meaningful ways. Seeking light preserves sanity, but exposes the player to danger. Hiding in dark offers protection, but erodes Daniel's mind. Every choice is a compromise, and every compromise has narrative weight. More importantly, Amnesia makes vulnerability permanent. There's no combat or skill tree or upgrade system. There's only revelation. The reward for survival is not empowerment, it is understanding, and often that understanding is horrifying. This inversion of traditional game logic is central to Amnesia's impact. Power is replaced with perspective, the player's growth is emotional, not mechanical, and what we learn about Daniel and ourselves becomes more unsettling than any monster the game could design. Amnesia is not simply a successful horror game, it is a landmark. Released in 2010, it redefined the genre for a new era. It demonstrated that fear could be generated not through combat or jump scares, but through immersion, implication, and vulnerability. Its influence is pervasive. Games like Outlast, Soma, Layers of Fear, Visage, even Alien Isolation owe clear debts to Amnesia's design philosophy. The emphasis on first-person vulnerability, audio-driven tension, and environmental storytelling can be traced directly to frictional games' innovations. Yet, through all of this, its most enduring contribution is entirely conceptual. The idea that horror is not merely something to survive, but something to confront. That fear, when wielded deliberately, can be narrative, and that vulnerability, rather than weakness, can be the strongest storytelling tool a game possesses. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is not remembered for its plot points or monsters. It's remembered for its tone, its texture, and its emotional weight. Its narrative is not just told, it is embedded in every hallway, every flickering light, and every moment of silence. By fusing gameplay, environment, and story into this cohesive psychological experience, Amnesia offers a rare kind of horror, one that implicates the player not just as a witness, but as a participant. We're not observing Daniel's descent, we're living it, and in doing so, we become entangled in its consequences. The question the game ultimately poses is not what happened, but what have you done? And that question, quiet, unresolved, and deeply personal, is what continues to echo long after the screen fades to black. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you want to see more stuff like this, hit subscribe. And if you want to, tell me your thoughts, leave a comment down below. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.